This presentation aims to explore the challenge of improving literacy outcomes in boys' education with a focus on a Sydney high school. In exploring this topic, the intersections of challenge as well as the evidence of the challenge will be examined, the context of success analysed, and the possible solutions detailed. This presentation will focus on the challenge at a school level from the perspective of Hillview High School in Sydney's western suburbs, but in examining the school level, the classroom and the systems level will also be illuminated. Much of the education literature points to boys demonstrating lower literacy outcomes than girls during their schooling careers. The effect of this lies in post-school options and opportunities for both boys and girls, aspects of self-perception during and after school, as well as the impacts of making meaning in the world. Put quite simply, humans can only provide evidence of their understanding in the form of what they write, make, do, and say. No matter the context, work, life, or school, these ways of demonstrating are paramount to our engagement with the world around us. Each of these ways has a degree of structure that underpins the knowledge required to act. For example, writing an email or this assignment, standing during the singing of a national anthem, or just general conversation. We learn and hone these skills in school. In Boganovi's 2022 study of PISA results around the world, it was concluded that male students have poorer literacy skills than that of their female counterparts. This isn't new discourse though. 20 years earlier, Gibbs and Krause found that boys lag behind in literacy development from an early age, and more concerning, are expected to lag behind by their teachers and their parents. In a review of Australian NAPLAN data between 2011 and 2018, Thomas concluded that boys were achieving well below the national standard in each tested year. And in the mainstream media, boys' literacy achievement is a recurring story, most recently in 2022, where it was cited that 1 in 8 Year 9 boys are behind in their reading skills by up to 1 year. So why is this the case? There are a number of intersections of challenge at work here. Firstly, the conditions for which the most effective learning takes place is not conducive to many boys' ways of learning, as found by Chamberlain and Medina. They also found that a 1-point increase in the index of classroom disciplinary climate increased reading scores by up to 12 points. What this means in the classroom is what teachers already know. Each disruption in the classroom setting is impacting the ability of students to improve their academic achievement. Intersecting this aspect of improving literacy achievement in boys is the hardwired cognitive abilities of boys in comparison to girls. Marx states that the stability of cognition over time correlates to improved performance across literacy domains. Therefore, the instability of cognition impacted by the classroom environment can lead to an inconsistent literacy development. To intersect this aspect of challenge is the power of motivation and engagement. In the 21st century, there are multiple competing media and activities to win and hold students' attention. The impact of this is that boys become less able to concentrate or solve difficult problems, like those found in the classroom. Finally, if the above cognitive and social factors were removed from the equation, we'd be left with our educational system. Marx found a correlation between prior achievement in early childhood education and literacy development in secondary education. Gibbs and Krause in 2002 cited school learning culture favours the innate and natural abilities of girls due to the affective nature of early childhood and primary contexts. Therefore, if boys are disadvantaged in the early childhood and primary settings due to the lack of affective connection, according to Gibbs and Krause, then boys will remain disadvantaged due to perceived lack of confidence and achievement in earlier years, as stated by Marx. So let's put this to the test. The focus of this presentation will be Hillview High School, located in Western Sydney. For purposes of anonymity, the name Hillview High School is a pseudonym. Hillview has approximately 1,000 students, 85 teaching staff and 35 non-teaching staff. According to the My School website, 36% of the school's population fall into the lower middle quarter of the Index of Community Socio-Economic Advantage. Of the school's 1,000 students, 5% identify as Aboriginal or a Torres Strait Islander, and 13% have a language background other than English. As a school community, many families could be described as mid to low socioeconomic status with a high percentage of working class backgrounds. Generally, the parent body is not fully aware of the breadth of post-school options, with many students transitioning into family work. In the area, the sporting reputation of the school has been a significant pull factor for new enrolments. Each of the intersections of challenge stated before impact the teaching and learning at Hillview High School. Teachers have reported significant lapses in engagement and motivation of students, which affects class dynamics. We've heard this already from Chamberlain and Medina. The number of students requiring additional support to access their learning illustrates Marks and Gibbs and Krause's points about early achievement, which leads to low student self-efficacy, which in turn impacts motivation and engagement. The cycle continues. When looking at the teaching side of this complex conundrum, teachers often report planning activities to boost student motivation, reduce behavioural issues, and attempt to address literacy skills. This intricate formula is anecdotally leading to teacher stress and burnout, which only impacts the students in the end. Professional development is needed to help curb this challenge. However, this is not effective with an overworked staff. In speaking with teaching staff at the school, they have high expectations of their students, which are not being met by a large number of students. From the school leadership point of view, the academic reputation of the school impacts the number of enrolments, which impacts the number of staff employed at the school. In speaking with some of the student body, some appear aware of their teachers and their parents' concerns. However, they lack the discipline to break the cycle. One of the common reasons for this is due to external influences on students' time in the form of sport, technology, and gaming. Qualitatively, that's the lay of the land at Hillview High School. When looking at the data, it offers the same story. Compared with all other Australian schools, Hillview High School's Year 7 reading achievement fluctuates. However, there's been significant improvements in Year 9 reading results between 2014 and 2018, suggesting that something is working at Hillview. However, aside from the spikes in writing achievement in 2017 and 2022, results are mainly stagnant or declining and consistently below the national average. The national level has been consistent between 2014 and 2018 in most areas comparatively, suggesting that Australian teachers and students are capable of achieving a consistent standard across the nation. Further to this, students at Hillview sit PAT reading tests before entering in Year 7. Results in this test are varied too. Most students are at or below their expected year level ability, suggesting a wider issue in the community. However, other evidence at the school lies in its structural features. Since 2018, there has been a targeted Year 8 English class with a smaller number of students and higher number and more frequent support from teachers' aides. Since 2017, the school has adopted a specific literacy framework to underpin KLA planning. However, many teachers report this isn't utilised as much as it could be, which is why in 2022, the school created and filled 2 specific literacy teacher roles to lead literacy learning across the KLAs. All of this evidence, NAPLAN results, PAT-R results, class timetable modifications, TA support, literacy teacher roles, is suggesting that literacy outcomes at Hillview are below the desired level. This evidence fits the broader narrative around the country of low literacy ability. There are multiple social, cognitive, and educational environmental factors impacting the achievement of boys in the literacy domain, resulting in a complex, multifaceted educational challenge. For this reason, there is no easy fix. This challenge exists at the system, the school, and the classroom level. So what can be done? At Hillview, there are 2 approaches to meeting this challenge, the KLA or the faculty approach, and the whole school approach. At the KLA level, faculties are employing the assistance of the Super 6 comprehension strategies to embed into their teaching and learning programs. Furthermore, teachers across faculties are working collaboratively to ensure all 6 strategies are being employed across KLAs. Heading this project are the 2 literacy teachers, led by the head of teaching and learning. At the whole school level, the leadership team have committed to making literacy achievement a top priority in the school's annual improvement plan. 2 structural and support areas of the school have also been restructured to meet this complex challenge. Firstly, the diverse learning team positions, timetables, learning space, and responsibilities have been restructured to take a student-centered approach. Secondly, the head of teaching and learning has reorganized the structure of regular professional development to ensure meaningful collaboration amongst and between KLA teams. With these 2 approaches being employed at Hillview, literacy learning and improvement are being embedded throughout the school. Change at Hillview seems to fit the broader policy shift at the system level too. This is a timeline of literacy programs and policies from 1990 to 2022 in Australia and New Zealand, Australia being at the top of your screen. What becomes apparent here is the frequency of implementation and evaluation of these policies and programs in recent years, suggesting a national priority to address a national need. Complementary to this shift in policy and program is a broader definition of 21st century literacy. Zammit states that a literate person today possesses a wide range of abilities and competencies which are multiple and dynamic due to the range of multimedia available to students today. This presents an opportunity for teachers of tomorrow to evolve with a definition of literacy evidenced in the range of national literacy programs emerging, from the National Inquiry into Teaching of Literacy in the early 2000s to the current National Literacy Learning Continuum embedded in the national curriculum. With all of these mechanisms in place, has Hillview had any success? The short answer is, it's too early to tell, as many of the more contemporary changes have occurred between 2019 and 2022. But there appears to be greater collaboration between teachers with a focus on literacy, specifically multiple literacies, and pedagogy. Explicit literacy pedagogy and instruction has become more visible across the school through the specific use of the school's learning management system. With PD and diverse learning restructures, more opportunities have begun to emerge for greater teacher and student support in and out of the classroom. And finally, the tell of all of this, NAPLAN was only held in term 1 of this year, so watch this space. If success doesn't come right away, there are a number of places to look that suit the context of Hillview. As has become apparent, this challenge isn't a new one. Gibbs and Krause investigated the impact of a method known at the time as chunking, whereby the approach to spelling, punctuation, sentence structure, paragraphing, and text structure was deconstructed into digestible chunks for boys. This study found too that clear-cut or closed questions were more accessible for adolescent boys than open-ended, abstract questions. For teachers, this isn't new, but employing strategies like this in a way that is meaningful and authentic poses a challenge. Reorganizing teaching programs and assessment methods to include small chunks accessible for boys takes time and planning to ensure that it is effective. At Hillview, the employment of the Super 6 comprehension strategies focuses on the clear-cut questioning in ways that are small and portioned for boys to comprehend. The school is yet to conduct one effective cycle of this type of teaching and learning, so the school's effectiveness in this area is not yet known. Further to Gibbs and Krause's investigation of chunking, Harders and McIntyre examined one teacher's explicit use of scaffolding to engage their unteachable Year 9 English class. The teacher in this study went against the accepted norms of teaching students with low literacy abilities. The teacher selected a text that was more challenging for the students, rather than dumbing it down. It was the teacher's careful and conscious planning of lessons that enabled this class to achieve results far from what they, and the school, had expected. The teacher's attention to the macro and the micro levels of literacy instruction allowed for authentic immersion in the text, with opportunities for students to manipulate language in a way that was meaningful to them. The teacher reflected that through talk in the classroom, the students were able to physically grasp the language forms and structures to then build on their own funds of knowledge. Though the extent of scaffolding and reflection is not yet apparent at Hillview, there is an opportunity for this to occur in the targeted Year 8 English class, whereby students will receive more individualized support from having a smaller class size. And lastly, Barton and McKay's 2016 inquiry into a student-centered approach to literacy learning or coaching provides learnings for other contexts in similar situations. Barton and McKay examined literacy approaches in a high school with similar characteristics of Hillview, the only major exception being the location, and they found that activating the students' funds of knowledge, that is, what they already come to school with, is key to hooking them into the learning. Coupled with the opportunity to coach one another, with the support of community volunteers and teachers, confidence in literacy ability improved within 6 months. We've already looked at the impact of affective learning environments on boys' education, thanks to Gibbs and Krause earlier in this presentation. So if boys can overcome this affective connection in the classroom by learning from one another, they may be in a better position to build on prior achievement, in turn impacting engagement and motivation, which is another factor of low literacy ability. So overall, community engagement with student experiences, guided by the careful planning and consideration of the teacher, which derives from meaningful collaboration, appears to be the key to success at the classroom and the whole school levels. If this cycle of practice is successful, it may influence further change at the systems level. The reason I can't say this with any certainty is because the nature of this challenge is multi-layered and complex, and what works at Hillview may not work elsewhere, therefore defeating the notion of a system-wide solution. But if the challenge can be met at the classroom level with the support of the whole school and its community, there is room for greater change and improvement. Boys' achievement in literacy has been a dominant discourse in the world of education. Looking at the various successes and the willingness of teachers to do right by their students, there is scope to meet and to overcome this challenge one classroom, one student at a time. Thank you.